Hello guys, this is Darkomiku, and on the fifth video from the from my multi-rarity weapon tier list. Yes, I got it right this time. Um, Featuring Stalker Staff Weapon Spotlight. So in this video, we'll talk about intro, pros, cons. Then let's analyze epic stat. Then how bouncy walls don't totally save staff wall problems, little experiment homework for you guys, recommendations for staff users, and so on. So I'm batch recording this because I don't want to get killed by you guys. So the intro. This video will probably upset even more people than my Tornado Sucks video because staff is actually the most popular weapon and I am about to shit on it. So I gotta tell the truth even when it hurts, and you gotta listen to it even if it disappoints you. Well, you don't need to, but I would appreciate it so much if you are not a close-minded, stubborn person. So I don't mind getting hated because of math and facts. Just yeah. So before you start killing me, this video doesn't cover the weakest part of staff. That is for spears and depth scythe weapon spotlight to show you the rotten side of the staff. So I wish you spared me on the comments because this video doesn't destroy staff yet. The other ones will. But in the end, it actually doesn't matter if Stalker staff is the best weapon or not, because you get to have staff, spear, and depth scythe as ancient legendary weapons, because the other three are total garbage, and you are free to change between these three weapons. Nobody stops you. If you couldn't clear it on one weapon, try another one. Why is it so difficult for you guys to try another weapon? Then the last three weapon spotlights are gonna be very, very, very long because there is a lot of to cover. This is needed because all three of these weapons are in top 3. So to rank them, we need details and math. I recommend you to watch that 1.5 speed or even 2 if you can keep up with me. If you haven't been doing it already for all my videos or all the YouTube videos, right? Let's start. Pros. Easy to start a step. Third in single target mob DPS. In very specific situations, it can be the second. Third in multi-target mob DPS. In very specific situations, it can be the second. Very good skill synergy. Not excellent because it just straight front arrow for diagonal arrows, but both of the diagonal arrows can hit. So the next one, tied with highest anti-boss DPS. Depending on the boss, can lose heavily to spear. Next one, can hit slow moving enemies that are very far away. Good epic stat. Not very good, but only good, and I'll explain why later in this weapon spotlight. Now, here comes the cons. Too slow of a projectile speed. Even Art of Combat cannot fix this. Misses all moving targets that are somewhat close to you because enemies can move an angle greater than 90 degrees before your projectile can reach them. Your projectiles can only turn 90 degrees. So, next one. Misses all diagonal arrow to enemies near you. This problem can be lessened if you pick up a second diagonal arrow, though you will miss all the second diagonal arrows. Misses nearly all shots to enemy with teleport, jump, borrow that are a little bit away from you. Most bosses and worst mobs dashes, jumps, teleports, and borrows. Art of Combat can somewhat fix this. Wastes all additional shots fired at something that already has enough shots to kill. But since the projectiles are still in the air and your hero still targets it, and it won't change the target if you don't move or yeah, sometimes it just doesn't change the target because it is closer to you than the other mob that is far away, far away from you, and thus misses all those shots to the next mob alive. So the farther away you are from the mob, the more wasted projectiles, and the more mobs there are, the more you waste projectile too. Because to change from one mob to another one, you waste projectiles. So that is the wasted and missed part of the staff. Now is the wall part of the staff. Very heavily obstructed by walls because diagonal arrows get fucked up by walls. Bouncy wall and second diagonal arrow can slightly fix this problem, but it is not enough. And Art of Combat makes this problem so much worse. It increases the angle of it doesn't increase the angle, but it decreases the speed the angle closes. So you will have more time with the angle wide open. A person told me that you can get rid of all the walls by closing and opening the game over and over again. But I think he forgot about the 4 walls that exist in every room. Because of how diagonal arrow needs wide space, if in any situation where you and the enemy is standing near the same wall, at least 33% of your attacks will miss. And that's a lot. That's a lot. Okay. Next one. Totally dumps fires your screen. Very high visual pollution because of the combination of very distracting, opaque projectiles plus 2 diagonal arrows plus 1 bouncy wall. Very slow projectile that makes all your projectiles stay extra long on the screen. Art of Combat also makes this problem a lot worse because the projectiles are even bigger now. Yeah, that's the pollution problem. Not enough knockback. Then, total trash without diagonal arrows. It is worse than bow because bow can hit, and most of the time, yeah, staff doesn't hit. Can be alleviated by choosing increased chance for diagonal arrows in rooms and using an enlightenment book. Okay, so let's oh my god, there's so much to cover here. Let's first analyze staff epic stat. Epic stat. The lower the target's HP, the higher the crit rate. So max crit rate is 18% when enemies have 1 HP. I got this info from Chaos in the Archero Discord. They did a data mine and he himself said that when they tested the crit chance, it felt lower than 18%. But regardless of the real value, let's find out how much crit chance the staff needs to deal the same damage as the other weapons damage, so that when somebody finds out the truth, the exact crit chance, we already have an idea how the comparison goes. As I did for bow, we gotta analyze the base crit chance and damage, and then my accounts, and then how much crit master helps. So for the base stats, 15% crit chance, 200% crit damage. There you go. I got a table later on. This is just for you to see my calculations so that you can replicate this with your own calculator at home. It is just not me sprouting numbers randomly. You can calculate this on your own and check if I made a mistake or something. And then yeah, these are the numbers for base stats. Then as you guys can see, you need a lot more than 18%, and remember 18% is only towards the end of the fight. That's not the mean value. Now for the account's crit stats, my account's crit stats, that is 26% crit chance, 300 crit damage. And there you go, the calculations, the formulas, and the damage, and the crit chance needed. Staff now needs less percent because I now have higher crit damage to make use of the crit chance that the staff gives. This is just like what happened to the bow, but reversed. Next one. For the last test, all weapons with 1 crit master on base stats, that is 25% crit rate and 240 crit damage. And there you go. I got a table below, so you will be more organized there. Just as suspected, staff needs less crit chance to catch up with other weapons if you pick up crit master, except for bow, because bow's 50% crit damage gains more value from one crit master than staff's crit chance. And there we go. Staff's necessary crit chance to reach the same damage as other weapons. For bow, it is super low. It is less than the half of 18. So, whoops. So yeah, bow, nope, not good. Tornado, if it hits back and forth, the both ways, it deals. Staff would need 40% on my base stats, 26.6% on not on the base stats, 40.5. My stats 26.6, and base plus one crit master 33.75. So when we need to compare to the Death Scythe and Spear, right? These are the main two competitors for staff. So Death Scythe, you need 51, 30, 34, and 43. For Spear, a fully charged Spear, you would need 64, 42, and 54. So all these cases suggest that staff need over 2 times, near 3 times the max crit chance that determined by our community for staff to catch up to Death Scythe and Spear's weapon multiplier. And I haven't even factored in the Death Scythe epic stat. So let's do the same test as bow. Plus 50% crit damage. Let's use the 9% crit chance because that's the average for 50% HP. So for base stats, 15 crit, 200 crit damage. There we go. The new crit rate, it is 1 minus 15% crit rate plus 0.9, 15% crit rate plus 9% crit rate, plus 2 times the crit chance, and divided by the old crit chance, plus 2 times divided by the mean value of critting and not critting. Yes, that's it. So it gives me a 7.8% increase in DPS. For a new account, and for my account it gives me 11.84%. Look, at least it is better than both epic stats. So it is not very good. But you guys must be saying, oh, what about the Meowgik's cats and strikes? They also crit with the staff. Let's go one by one because each situation is slightly different. Meowgik's cats scale with weapon damage modifiers. When they crit, the game uses your current crit damage multiplier and multiplies it to the cats. So let's compare Meowgik's cats' new DPS when staff gives them an average of 9% crit rate. So the crit chance slash damage is a multiplier too. So we just need to compare this multiplier to other weapons multipliers, because other weapons cannot crit with cannot make cats crit. So for example, the base stats has 200% crit damage, so it's 1 minus 9% for non-crits chances, non-crits, and plus 2 times the chances that it will crit, that is 9%. So that makes me have 9% more DPS. Why only 9? Because cats can only crit with staff's crit chance. If you have more crit chance, the cats doesn't matter. They don't crit with other crit chances. Only staffs. So staff 9%, base stats 200 crit damage, my stats 300, base plus 1 crit master 240, And to reach 1.45, you need 600 crit damage. And to reach 1.56, you need 723% crit damage. And as you guys can see, using staff over depth scythe or spear actually reduces Meowgik's cat's DPS unless you have 600 or 700 crit damage. My account will need 7.5 crit masters for Meowgik stats to deal more damage using staff rather than depth scythe, and that is near impossible to get, like 7.5 crit masters. That's I don't know how to get that. Yes, we gotta add in the effect that cats do spawn more the more arrows you shoot per attack, though it is not clear if it is a 1.1 scaling. Like if you shoot 3 arrows per time, it is 3 times more likely to spawn cats. Maybe that's not true, but we will assume it is true for now. And let's factor in the 50% more crit, more arrows or more cats that you can spawn per attack. So 1.09 times 3.2, 3/2, or 3 divided by 2, or that's 1.9 times 1.5 equals to 1.635. That is 4.8% more DPS than spear. And using my account's crit damage, that is 1.18 times 1.5, that's 1.77. That is 13% more DPS than spear. So yeah, you get 50% more cats, the DPS increases 50%. That's a lot. That stays true only if other weapons are never allowed to pick up diagonal arrows themselves. And there is a way for other weapons to use diagonal arrows even if they don't have bouncy walls. I will talk about this in the next weapon spotlight. Now, I have even worse news for staff Meowgik players. Meowgik's cats also activate Depth Scythe Headshot. So yeah, even with staff's crit chance, it still takes an almost impossible amount of crit damage to reach the same DPS as Depth Scythe normal DPS. And now the cats can also headshot. So yeah, staff is not the best combination with Meowgik. It loses to scythe and spear. Now let's talk about strikes. I got good news and bad news for you guys. Good news is that strike damage isn't affected by weapon modifier. So scythe and spears having higher weapon modifier does not work. Bad news is that strike can also proc headshot. Yes, strike can headshot with scythe headshot. That is 50% chance to insta-kill when mobs are under 30% HP or below. So if you think an increase of 18% DPS is more than the Depth Scythe epic passive, then you are so wrong. And now, diagonal arrows don't make you shoot more strikes. But you will have to wait until I can defend myself in Depth Scythe Spotlight before sending me death threats in the comments. It is true that Scythe headshot doesn't work on bosses, but if you think Depth Scythe is the only competitor, you are also wrong. Spear's epic stat is not coded as increase in weapon modifier. It is a pure increase in your projectiles damage. So spear increases strike's damage by 30%, and also the strike also stacks spear's epic stat up, and 30% is more than 18. So you can test it out yourself. Just look at the strike's damage go up by themselves when you are using spear, or look at the strike's headshots when they on their own when you are using Depth Scythe. You might have seen this pattern here. Whenever staff can make crit, can also proc Depth Scythe headshot and spear's bonus damage, because all of them are epic stats. So staff's epic stat straight loses to both spear and death scythes when versus mobs. So next one. Now let's talk about Staff's wall problems and how bouncy wall doesn't actually totally save Staff's diagonal damage from walls. So first things to know is that bouncy walls reduce the damage by 50% each bounce. So the ideal situation is that the both diagonal arrows hit the target after bouncing it just once. If it bounces twice, yeah, it is even less damage. So never forget that it is important to hit the enemy, and Staff's projectiles are hard to hit because they are slow as fuck. That means instead of dealing 3 times the damage that you normally deal when 3 of them hits the enemy, now because both of them bounced from the walls, you deal 2 times only damage, or 2.5 if only one of them bounce and all of them hits. So I will include the Staff's epic stat here with 9% new 9% crit rate, and then on a new account it increases by 7.8% as I showed you earlier. So from 3 it goes to 3.2, from 2 times to 2.1, and then on my account it is there. You can pause the video and look for yourself. So DPS increase from 3 times for my base crit and for the base crit and mine crit, and there you go, that's the numbers. So we want to focus on the 2x column and sometimes on the 2.5x column, because 3 times is I'm already saying that there are a lot of walls and you won't hit 3 projectiles when there are a lot of walls. So you are using the diagonal arrows with bouncy wall so that it bounces and hits later on. So if you compare this to the other weapons with just 1 front arrow, the bow with 1 weapon multiplier, so the front arrow multiplies your arrows by 2, and then each one is dealing 0.75 your normal attacks, and then this number of 1.065 and 1.855 is actually the bow's epic stat from the 2 videos ago, or 3 videos ago. So you get 1.598 to 1.628. So if you can see for the rest, as you can see, the Death Scythe and Spear already overcome the 2x column hurdle. So yeah, if it bounces once, even though it all hits, Spear and Death Scythe wins in DPS. And then, but that was only 1 skill for other weapons. Staff got 2, bouncy wall and diagonal arrows. This is kind of unfair for other weapons, right? Now let's compare Staff with other weapons with a front arrow and also an attack boost. So you can pause and look at the numbers, and we need to compare it to the 2x column or 2.5x column. So the bow clears the 2x column. So bow deals more damage than Staff if there are a lot of walls, and even if you don't miss anything, after 1 bounce on the wall, you are donezoed. You lose to bow. And then Tornado clears with the 2.5x, and then Death Scythe can easily clear the 2.5x, and I still haven't included the Death Scythe epic stat. Yeah, I'm hyping it up because it is so OP, and it is only on the last video, last weapon spotlight. And then now the Spear can also deal more damage than Staff full power. So yeah, if 3 of them hits, even though none of them bounced on the wall, Staff still deals more damage. Look, staff has 3.276, and for the three times column is 3.3. Whoops. Oh, it is 3.235 on the base crit. So in my account, it wouldn't deal more damage, but in your base account, it will. Just barely, but it will. So in your new account, the spear does more damage than staff, even though it hits 3 of them. So now let's assume that the second diagonal arrow can close the angle of the first one enough so that the walls are not that big of a problem. That would mean you get 3 arrows. That's overestimating. And if you compare it to spear, it still loses to the new account and barely wins on my account. So now that let's clog up the entire screen with projectiles, with 2 diagonal arrows and a bouncy wall. What will happen? Let's assume again that the 3 arrows will hit. That's overestimating already, without the need of bouncy walls. And then the other 2 will hit after bouncing just once. That's overestimating too. Most of the time it doesn't hit. It bounces once, bounces twice, and then hits, or bounces once, bounces twice, and disappears. That would make staff have 4 arrows. So that's the 4th column, from 4.3 to 4.4. If you compare this to the other weapons with another attack boost, so Death Scythe has 3.9, and remember that is without Death Scythe epic stats. The spear has 4.2, so it barely wins against Death Scythe and doesn't have epic stat and spear. But at what cost? It barely won, but at what cost? Now your entire screen is full of shit. Go ahead if you don't mind this. Yeah. So as you guys can see, staff really suffers heavy damage loss because of walls. If you don't pick up bouncy walls, then you lose most of your diagonal arrows. If you do pick them up, you still lose to other weapons, especially Death Scythe and Spear. That was if you hit the mob after bouncing only once. If bounces twice, then the damage drops half again, and there's no saving your DPS again. Nothing will save your DPS. So staff's weakness doesn't stop here. Average epic stat and wall problems are the least of your concerns when using staff. Main reasons for why staff diagonal arrow staff combo still loses to spear and Death Scythe in most situations will be presented in the spears and scythes spotlights. So a little experiment homework you can do to preview or experience firsthand what I'll talk about in spears spotlight is when playing with staff, don't pick up bouncy walls and piercing shots so that you can see clearly how much staff misses. And if you can record screen or just count in your head, yeah, later on spears and Death Scythe spotlights, I'll determine how much staff needs to miss for other weapons to catch up. So that's it for the bad parts. Recommendations for staff users: if you love someone, then set them free, right? If I cannot convince you to not use staff by the end of all weapon spotlights, then the only thing for me to do is to help you to make the best use out of your staff. So for equipments and runes, first of all, rolling diagonal arrows increase chance in runes is a must, and it is the first thing you should focus on in the runes. Diagonal arrows increase chance is your savior for staff. Frozen Bracelet is actually very good for all weapons, but it is extremely important for staff because it buys time for at least some projectiles to reach the mob before they disappear, teleport, burrows, jumps, anything before they dodge all of your attacks. Then you want to use an enlightenment book for more chances of getting diagonal arrows, because without diagonal arrows, staff is trash. If you are wondering why I'm not recommending any defensive equipment or rune choices, it is because I already have a video on that. It is the dodge versus damage reduction video, though that one doesn't have runes because runes was not introduced back then. It has an hour and a half of its own, yes, and a lot of math, even more than this weapon spotlight. So for heroes, pick up heroes that have passive skills that can make use out of your epic stats. So Meowgik, cats can crit, Helix, rage can crit, Ayana's damage increase can crit, Shade's shadow form can crit. So all of them can crit more, so they are the bests. Tyrannis level 80 plus 50% crit damage is not a good choice, as I have explained in both Spotlight, but it is not a bad choice either, because you need crit damage to combo with crit chance. That's totally usable as the first hero, the weakest hero in the endless runs. So, skill choices and order. First, prioritize the first diagonal arrow over any other skill in this game. Nothing is more important than the first diagonal arrow. Prioritize the second diagonal arrow over any other skills except multi-shot. If you are not in a boss chapter, then ricochet is also an exception. So after that, in a chapter with lots of walls, I don't know what you are doing with staff in a chapter with lots of walls, but doesn't matter. You are trying to use staff in everywhere. So prioritize bouncy walls except ricochet. If not, then rage is also an exception. This is kind of confusing. I'll explain later. Rest of the skill build is the same for other weapons. I got a video talking about the dream skill combo you should work towards. In that video, I used Death Scythe. So you just take out some of the front arrow and something else from the defensive skills and put that 2 diagonal arrows and bouncy walls in, and the video's link will be in the description. So, in case you didn't understand, first diagonal arrow, then multi-shot, then second diagonal arrow, and then ricochet, or ricochet then second diagonal arrow, depending on if you are using Death Scythe, if you are using staff on a very wall heavy chapter. After ricochet, rage, and then after rage, bouncy walls and the rest of the build. Okay, between Crit Master and attack boost, pick Crit Master. Why Crit Master over attack boost? Let's see the DPS curve progression for attack boost and Crit Master for staff at 9% for a new account and for my stats. Then, just in case you didn't know, level up multi-shot is different from the devil's multi-shot. Level up multi-shot actually increases the attack's boost value. So here it is. DPS increase. The first attack boost is 30%. You guys already saw this on the bows, right? So, as you can see, on the attack boost with level up multi-shot, the third one gives you 20% increase in DPS. So for new players, you'd want to get the first 3 attack boosts and then focus on Crit Master. As you can see, the fourth one gives you only 16%, while the Crit Master gives you 19%. So with my crit stats, my stats, you actually want to get only the first and the second multi-shot, and then pick up Crit Masters all the way. Okay? Then you might ask, why I said focus on Crit Master instead of attack boost if the first attack boost gives more DPS than the first Crit Master? Now it's simply because attack boosts are more common than Crit Masters. You will eventually find more attack boosts than Crit Master, so you don't want to have too much attack boost since it falls off heavily. The ideal situation out of 5 boost skills is actually 2 attack boost and then all in on Crit Master. If your account is new, 3 attack boost and all in on Crit Master. Then, why is the second diagonal arrow so important? It is not simply because it increases the number of projectiles you can shoot, because even more of the second diagonal arrows will miss than the first diagonal arrows. So why is it important? Because it's important because it closes the angle of your first diagonal arrows, making them having much higher chance of hitting close-up enemies and evading some wall problems. Making sure your first diagonal arrow hits is more important than most of the things, because staff is trash without diagonal arrows. Another thing to take into consideration is whether you should take front arrow from level up or devil when you already have a diagonal arrows. So the level up arrow reduces each of your arrows attack by 25% base attack and gives you another arrow. And the devil ones reduces your reduces by 20% multiplicatively all the damage of your arrows and then adds another arrow. They are slightly different, and I'll show you here. So diagonal plus 1 level up front arrow equals to 4 arrows. Each one has 1 minus 0.25, and that is 4 times 0.75, that is 3. So it is the same as before, 0% increase in DPS. A wasted ability, right? Let me show you that sometimes it is not. Diagonal arrow plus 1 front devil front arrow 4 times 0.8, and that is 3.2. So 3.2 divided by 3, that is a 6.6% increase in DPS. I here have the table. So if you already, the first line, the first row, the first row is what you already have. So if you already have a diagonal arrow, if you already have a diagonal plus boost, you get it, right? And then plus 1 level up front arrow on the second row. So if you already have if you have already a diagonal arrow and then you get 1 front arrow, you get 0% increase in DPS. And then you can see the numbers here. The one that catches your eyes is diagonal arrow plus multi-shot plus 1 front arrow. It actually decreases your DPS. But if you get 2 more attack boosts later on, it increases your DPS again. As you can see, diagonal arrow plus multi-shot plus 2 attack boost, and then plus a front arrow. A front arrow will give you plus 11.11% increase in DPS. So this is why it is not always a bad choice to pick up front arrow, even though you have a diagonal arrow. So as you guys can see, once you have diagonal arrows, it is just better to get an attack boost or Crit Master or Pet's Blaze or something else. But as you can see, if you pick up an attack boost, then the value of the front arrow increases a little bit. So between front arrow and C/D tier skills like elemental arrows, then front arrow is better. So what if the front arrow appears to you first? So should you pick up to increase your current DPS by around 50% to 100%, to have more damage to help you clear until you get another chance of getting diagonal arrows? That was a rhetoric question. Yes. The answer is yes, pick it up, because you are not guaranteed to get diagonal arrows every time you play with staff. Okay? So you still have to pick up a front arrow if you don't have a diagonal arrow. It helps you to breach. It helps you to make your heroes stronger without a sudden jump or nothing. It has a smooth increase in DPS. Okay, so in this case it is very simple. Since diagonal arrow doesn't reduce the damage each arrow does, there will always be an increase of 2 arrows over 2 existing ones, the front arrows. So the increase of DPS will always be 100%, known as double the DPS. So if you are not good with math, you might be confused now. Why are the percentage so different? Just changing the order. So let me explain it to you. You get the same DPS at the both end of the path, and that is 4 arrows each with 0.75 or more, depending on how many attack boosts you get. So if you don't get any attack boost, that will be the example I'm using now. So at the end of the both paths, either taking diagonal arrow first or front arrow first, if you take both of them, at the end you will have 4 arrows with 0.75 attack boost on each one. But getting the diagonal arrow first gets you 3 arrows each 1 attack. So this jumps you straight to the end DPS, that is the same as 0.75 times 4, that is 3. While getting front arrow first, you get to the halfway of the DPS, because you only have 2 arrows with 0.75 attack each, and you need 2 more to get to the end DPS. That's why this is a smoother DPS increase than the diagonal arrow. And this makes picking up front arrow first not a problem, but later is a little bit of a problem, because you are almost wasting a skill. The same goes for multi-shot and multi-shot plus front arrow. So that is it for Steph's weapon spotlight. And the next one is Bright Spear. This is where I'll shoot more on the staff. Please don't kill me. Yeah, why am I making these videos if people will shit on me? Yeah, it's okay. So that's it for this video. This is the Steph's weapon spotlight. It does not, let me say it again. Where is it? Oh my god, there's so much things that I covered in this video. Whoa, there's only 4 pros. So so yeah, before you start killing me, this video doesn't cover the weakest part of the staff. That is for spears and Death Scythe's weapon spotlight to show the rotten side of the staff. So more crap will be thrown at staff later on. You can just wait. So this is it for this video. This is the Steph's weapon spotlight for the multi-rarity weapon tier list. And thank you very much for watching. I know this was a very long video. The next one will be even longer because we gotta shit on Steph even more. So thank you very much for watching, and this is Darkomiku signing out. Bye.